Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone. Today we are diving into a truly fascinating story that's become a legend in the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, because it involves something extraordinarily rare, a 2009 1-cent coin that astonishingly commands a value of $55 million, not for its face value, which is obviously only 1 cent, but because of a remarkable series of errors and mistakes that have turned this small, seemingly insignificant penny into one of the most valuable coins in the world, a treasure sought after by collectors, investors, and historians alike. This is a story about how imperfection in manufacturing can paradoxically make something extraordinarily perfect and rare, and why those quirks, those mistakes on this 2009 penny, have rendered it priceless in the eyes of the world's most discerning collectors. To understand why a 2009 penny can be worth this vast fortune, it's essential to know a little background about the coin itself and the minting process, as well as to explore in painstaking detail the nature of the mistakes that gave rise to such an improbable valuation. The year 2009 marked a very special centennial in American coinage history, since it was the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and also the 100th anniversary of the first Lincoln cent minted in 1909. In honor of this significant milestone, the United States Mint released a series of 4 special penny designs throughout the year, each depicting different stages of Lincoln's life, a tribute that garnered intense attention from collectors. Under normal circumstances, these pennies, while special in design, would not transcend their base material value. They are primarily copper-plated zinc, with a nominal face of 1 cent, often collected for their thematic value rather than financial worth. Yet, in the very process of minting these commemorative pennies, a perfect storm of manufacturing errors unfolded. The 2009 1-cent coin achieved legendary status not through standard rarity but by virtue of a complex combination of mistakes that are almost unheard of in the minting world, making it a textbook example of how fascinating and profitable numismatic errors can be. First and foremost among the errors affecting this coin is the famed double die error. A double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin's design is itself improperly engraved or struck multiple times in alignment failures, creating a duplicated image effect on the coin that appears as if the inscriptions or images are shadowed or doubled. On the 2009 penny, this manifests with astonishing clarity, particularly on the heroic bust of Lincoln, on the date 2009, and on the inscriptions marking liberty and "In God We Trust." The doubling effect is so pronounced and precise that it instantly catches the eye of experts and laypeople alike, distinguishing these pennies from any other minting years or eras, increasing their rarity and desirability exponentially. The double die effect is especially valuable because it's a rare production anomaly resulting from human and machinery error at the die creation stage, before the coins are even struck. It stands as evidence that a step in the intricate minting process went awry and was not corrected before mass production began. Collectors all over the world covet coins with such double die features precisely because they are effectively one-off printing errors that can never be intentionally replicated once identified, lending these coins an aura of uniqueness and imperfection that is rare and beautiful. But the double die error is only the surface level of this penny's profound rarity. There's more to the story. Some of the 2009 pennies were found to have been struck on the wrong planchets. A planchet is the blank metal disc, or blank coin, prepared ahead of minting. Copper pennies after 1982 are usually struck on planchets made primarily of zinc, about 97.5%, with a thin copper plating. However, astonishingly, a very small number of these 2009 pennies were minted on planchets intended for other denominations or different metals altogether. This anomaly results in coins that have entirely different physical properties, weight, thickness, metallic composition, and even magnetic properties, compared to typical pennies. Some have been found with a muted reddish-brown color or metallic sheen characteristic of bronze or even unusual alloys entirely, and others weigh more or less than the standard 2.5 grams of a typical penny. Holding one of these coins produces both a visual and tactile surprise. The error is monumental in that it reveals a breach in the mint's rigorous quality control process by allowing planchets from different coin batches to be fed to the penny press. Such errors are exceedingly rare, and when authenticated, coins with wrong planchet errors fetch extraordinary prices, much more than regular cents or even typical error coins, because they introduce physical uniqueness alongside visual errors. Now, combining the double die and wrong planchet errors alone would be enough to propel a coin beyond typical valuations, but the 2009 pennies story deepens with the presence of off-center strikes in some specimens. Off-center strikes occur when the blank planchet is not properly aligned within the coining press during striking. As a result, the design is partially shifted to one side of the coin, resulting in visible blank edges where the coin's metal remains unstamped or only partially struck. On some examples of the 2009 penny, this off-center strike is perfectly discernible with the double die errors clearly present as well, creating a hybrid type of error that is both visually stunning and scientifically fascinating. Off-center strikes are sought after by collectors not only because they are rare but because they provide visible proof of the machinery's imperfection and the randomness inherent in manufacturing processes that supposedly aim for perfection. Such coins often retain their collectible worth in proportion to the degree of the off-centering. The more extreme the misalignment, often the higher the value. Consider now that some 2009 pennies display a trifecta of errors: double die, wrong planchet, and off-center strikes, in various combinations, and you start seeing why their collective rarity is profound. To quantify how rare these coins are, remember that billions of pennies were minted in 2009. However, coins exhibiting these errors together are estimated to number only a handful, which means that collectors worldwide fight over any specimens discovered, further inflating their prices exponentially. But how do these errors come to be in the first place, given the strict controls and automation in modern mints? The US Mint operates highly regulated, automated production lines that manufacture coins in staggering quantities, employing high-precision presses and quality control mechanisms designed to eliminate such errors. Errors like double dies usually emerge during the die creation process, typically when the master hub punches the coin design into dies multiple times, leading to slight angular shifts between impressions. These minute shifts can cause the dies to exhibit duplicated or doubled features, which then get transferred onto all coins struck with those dies. If detected early, these defective dies are scrapped, but occasionally some slip through to mass production before identification. Wrong planchet errors can be explained by a mishap in the planchet feeding mechanism, or less commonly, human mixing of blank metal discs during production. Since different coin denominations use planchets of varying diameter, thickness, and metal composition, if planchets get interchanged or the sorting mechanism malfunctions, pennies can be struck on planchets meant for nickels or dimes, creating aberrant coins that stand apart physically and visually. Off-center strikes tend to be mechanical failures arising when the planchet shifts or is not seated properly before pressing. High-speed coining presses depend on precise positioning. However, if a planchet is loosely fed or a machinery misalignment occurs due to wear and tear or timing errors, it can lead to the coin being struck off-center, highlighting the underlying mechanics of the minting process itself. Importantly, the concurrence of these errors, double die, wrong planchet, and off-center strikes, on the same coin is extraordinarily rare because it implies multiple simultaneous production failures, which the mint's quality controls are designed explicitly to prevent. Therefore, surviving examples of these coins hold a singular place in numismatic history as living artifacts of these failures. Another fascinating factor inflating the penny's value is its grade or physical condition. It is one thing to own a coin with errors and another to have one in pristine, mint-grade condition where all design elements, including errors, are sharply visible and unharmed by circulation wear, corrosion, or cleaning. Many of the 2009 pennies with these mistakes have been found in near perfect condition, proof coins sometimes, minted as collector's items but accidentally flawed, or well-preserved circulation coins, which is rare since pennies usually experience extensive wear due to their circulation. The unblemished condition combined with unique errors creates an infinitely more valuable collectible, since collectors avidly pursue coins that exhibit full details and clear error patterns. Considering all these elements, unprecedented error combinations, rarity, and condition, many experts and auction houses have appraised certain 2009 pennies at prices reaching tens of millions. The $55 million figure, while seemingly explosive, reflects not only the coin's scarcity but also the heated demand among top-tier collectors and institutional investors who view such coins as an investment in tangible historical artifacts. Next, 1995 D1 cent USA coin. Thank you for tuning into our fascinating deep dive into one of the most extraordinary and rare coins in numismatic history, the 1995 D1 cent piece, a coin that, despite being produced by the US Mint in what should have been an ordinary year for pennies, has become a legend by commanding a staggering value of $50 million due to its rare, complex, and multi-layered errors and mistakes. And today we are going to explore every intricate aspect of why this particular 1995 D penny has achieved such an extraordinary valuation, uncovering the historical context, the specific production errors, the numismatic significance of each flaw, and the market forces and human fascination that have amplified its worth to this unprecedented level, all while unpacking the possibilities concerning how these errors might have come about and why collectors and investors are so desperate to get their hands on these coins that defy normal expectations. To appreciate the 1995 D penny's unique place in coin collecting spheres, a brief overview of the typical parameters of coin production must be laid out. The Lincoln cent, minted since 1909, is among the most common and widely circulated coins in American history, produced in billions over decades with high consistency and quality control. The D Mint mark refers to the Denver Mint, which has traditionally played a significant role in U.S. coinage. The 1995 penny, in typical guise, is a small, copper-coated zinc coin, worth precisely 1 cent, with no visual or manufacturing differences to distinguish it from millions of others produced in the same year. The Denver Mint struck over 3.7 billion pennies in 1995, making unremarkable those standard specimens that we often unknowingly handle in daily life. However, within this vast production run emerged an incredibly rare subset of pennies embodying multiple highly unusual and compounding errors, allowing for a dramatic departure from standard coins into the realm of numismatic treasures commanding highly inflated values in the tens of millions. The 1995 D1 cent coin's colossal valuation primarily arises from a combination of three main categories of errors: the double die error, the off-center strike, and the planchette error, all of which epitomize rare failures in a normally precise manufacturing process. First, let's consider the double die error, a phenomenon where the coin die itself, the steel stamp used to impart the design onto the coin blank, is improperly engraved or struck multiple times with slight misalignment during die production, causing duplication or doubling of elements like date figures, inscriptions, or design features on the struck coin. For the 1995 D penny, this produces a striking visual effect especially noticeable on the date 1995, the word liberty, the phrase "In God We Trust," and even on parts of Lincoln's bust on the obverse face. The doubling is sharp and well-defined, revealing a ghost-like image adjacent to the main characters, rather than a simple blurring or smudging, which collectors find particularly appealing. While double die errors are not new or unheard of in coinage, what makes the 1995 D example extraordinary is the clarity and the severe misalignment, indicating a significant mistake at the die-making stage that went undetected for a considerable portion of the minting run before replacement. These double dies are highly sought after because of their rarity, their visual distinctiveness, and their role as tangible evidence of errors in the minting process that cannot be replicated once identified. Beyond the double die, the 1995 D penny also exhibits an off-center strike error, which is another highly prized anomaly in coin collecting. In this error, the coin blank or planchette is not properly centered within the coining press, causing the designs to be stamped offset, resulting in part of the image appearing off the edge and leaving a blank metallic band along one side of the coin. For some of these 1995 D pennies, the off-center strikes are pronounced, with misalignment of up to 40 to 50% or more, creating a visibly dramatic and aesthetically rare type of fail that is extremely limited in supply. Off-center strikes tend to happen due to mechanical malfunctions or operational misfeeds where the planchette is fed too late or placed incorrectly in the coining chamber. Though the Mint's quality control aims to detect and discard these, some manage to evade collection and enter public circulation. When combined with the double die effect, the visual impact is magnified, making the coin one of multiple layers of minting rarity. Adding yet another dimension to the rarity equation, some 1995D pennies carry a planchette error that can drastically alter their weight, composition, and appearance. In the precise world of coin minting, planchets are carefully designed metal blanks that fit exact size, thickness, and composition specifications. However, due to human or mechanical error, occasionally coins are struck on incorrect planchets designed for other denominations or even foreign coinages. For the 1995D penny, such misplaced planchets created specimens struck on larger, heavier, or different composition blanks, sometimes composed of a varying copper-nickel alloy instead of the usual copper-plated zinc core. This results in coins that look like pennies but feel notably different, heavier, or lighter than their counterparts, with distinct metallic lusters or patterns that set them apart. Such errors usually escape the Mint's inspection process due to volume and speed and, when authenticated, rank extremely high in rarity and value for collectors who prize out-of-the-ordinary physical characteristics in coins. What compounds these errors into a coin worth $50 million is their exceedingly low prevalence combined with their striking visual impact, historical context, and strong collector demand. The 1995D pennies errors are especially unique because it's not just one mistake but the cumulative effect of these multiple errors in rare coins, sometimes coexisting on the same specimen. Imagine holding a 1995D penny with bold, eye-catching double die inscriptions and date, clear off-center strike residue, and a metallic sheen or weight that instantly tells you it's composed of the wrong alloy as a final proof of its rarity. This coin is no longer mere currency. It becomes a collectible of tremendous historical importance and investment potential. Diving deeper into the possibility of how these errors arose, understanding the minting process elaborates on the story. The US Mint operates with high-speed mechanical presses striking thousands of coins per minute in an assembly line fashion. Each coin begins as a planchette, a smooth, blank disc of metal prepared by cutting sheets of metal strips and then stamping out round blanks. These blanks are then fed into the striking press where engraved steel dies stamp the coin's obverse and reverse designs in a millisecond strike involving over 100,000 pounds of pressure. The double die error originates in the die hubbing stage, where master dies are impressed multiple times to create the final coin design master. A misaligned second or subsequent impression can cause die doubling, transferring the effect to every coin that the die strikes. Although Mint employees inspect dies carefully after hubbing, sometimes subtle or significant misalignments go unnoticed, especially when hubbing machines are new, worn, or operated amid high production quotas, as was the case in the mid-1990s. This could have been exacerbated by significant production demands at the Denver Mint, which in 1995 was responsible for a vast volume of pennies, increasing the chance of unnoticed errors. Off-center strikes likewise stem from planchette feeding issues. If a planchette slips or is not fully positioned before striking, the press stamps off-center images. Because coins are in a continuous high-speed flow on modern presses, occasional lapses lead to such misfeeds, especially late in series runs or during maintenance changes. Planchette errors flow from errors in the planchette preparation lines, where metal strips of different compositions are fed into blanking machines in sequence before cutting. Accidental mixing of strip metals or incorrect billing can cause pennies to be struck on improper planchets. This was especially possible in 1995 due to ongoing changes in metal sourcing and cost-saving initiatives that led to variability in metal strip deliveries, increasing the chances of unusual planchette material reaching the penny line. The interaction of these errors is itself statistical lightning. Each is rare on its own, but combined, they represent truly exceptional anomalies. It is this coincidence of errors that sparks frantic interest among collectors seeking numismatic holy grails. Such coins are often authenticated rigorously by third-party graders who evaluate condition, provenance, and the nature of errors to determine authenticity and grade, providing confidence to buyers and enabling astronomical prices. Provenance and documented auction history enhance the coin's appeal, as the story behind its discovery, previous owners, and certifications add layers of intrigue and trust, encouraging collectors to invest enormous sums in owning a part of minting history. The $50 million price tag attached to the 1995 D penny reflects not only era rarity but also market dynamics and cultural value. Era coins often transcend intrinsic metal value. They are additions of imperfection in a mass-produced world. Their rarity is not calendared or printed but forged by human and mechanical mistake, which astounds collectors and historians alike. As a physical artifact, a 1995 D penny with such compounded errors symbolizes both the flawless aspirations and inevitable fallibility of industrial manufacturing. It stands as a singular physical testament to a moment where perfection faltered amidst billions. Last 1982 1-cent USA coin. Thank you so much for joining us today on this incredible deep dive into one of the most fascinating and legendary coins in the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, a coin so remarkable and rare that despite its humble denomination it commands a jaw-dropping value of $45 million, a scant single 1-cent coin from the year 1982 whose extraordinary errors and mistakes have turned it into one of the most sought-after treasures in the collecting world, and today we are going to unpack every fascinating detail about why this coin is so valuable, what specific errors and anomalies make it unique, how such mistakes could have come to exist in a minting process historically known for precision, and why collectors and investors are willing to pay astronomical amounts to own what appears at first glance to be an ordinary penny. To begin with, let's set the scene. The year 1982 holds a special and pivotal place in American pennies history because it marks the moment the United States Mint transitioned the cent coin composition from primarily 95% copper to a zinc core with a copper plating due to soaring copper prices and cost efficiency measures, a significant manufacturing shift that led to the existences of both copper pennies and zinc pennies minted in 1982, making that year an intriguing and, for collectors, exceptionally fertile ground for errors and varieties. The 1982 1-cent coin exists in both copper and zinc versions, and this alone makes it highly collectible and occasionally valuable, but the coin that sells for $45 million is no ordinary penny. It is an extremely rare error specimen or group of specimens exhibiting multiple significant and compounded mistakes that render it effectively priceless in their rarity, condition, and market demand. One of the key errors that contribute significantly to this 1982 penny's value is the infamous off-center strike mistake, which occurs when during the striking process, the blank metal planchette is misaligned or not properly positioned under the dies, and the design is engraved only partially on the coin's surface, causing a blank unstruck area and an off-kilter, incomplete depiction of Lincoln's portrait and the coin's inscriptions. Although off-center strikes are not unique to 1982, some off-center 1982 pennies are remarkable because of the degree of misalignment. Some coins demonstrate nearly 50% of the coin's surface unstruck, giving an extremely rare and aesthetically compelling error appearance, one that collectors highly prize. But what makes the 1982 off-center error pennies so coveted is that many examples maintain sharp detail and vibrant copper color, suggesting high-quality minting aside from the positional mistake, further accentuating their collectible appeal. Another extraordinary mistake widely noted in the 1982 cent coin involves the so-called wrong planchette or wrong metal composition error, a type of mishap that has fascinated collectors for generations. As mentioned, 1982 was the transition year from nearly solid copper pennies to the copper-plated zinc pennies, but in some rare instances, pennies were struck on planchets with incorrect metal compositions. Either pennies were struck on planchets intended for different denominations or even some experimental or error planchets that caused deviation in metal quality, thickness, weight, and appearance. Some 1982 pennies have been found that weigh significantly less or more than standard coins, possess a different hue, or exhibit strange sound or magnetic properties. A penny struck on a planchette that is intended for a dime, nickel, or foreign coin, or which is made from an experimental alloy, instantly gains numismatic rarity and huge value. The confluence of these two error types, the off-center strike and the wrong planchette, happens very infrequently, but when combined, the resulting coins become highly prized due to their extremely rare and unpredictable qualities. Yet another fascinating feature associated with 1982 pennies is the double die error, an anomaly born in the die creation process where the die is struck more than once in incorrect alignment by the master hub, causing a doubling of the lettering or design features on coins struck with that die. The result is a coin that exhibits doubled inscriptions or design elements, such as the motto "In God We Trust," the date numerals, or parts of Lincoln's profile. In 1982, although double die errors were rarer compared to earlier eras, some significant double dies were discovered, including dramatic doubling on the date and inscriptions, which immediately propelled those pennies into high collector demand since the doubling effect is immediately visible to the naked eye and creates an unusual artistic and historical appeal. On some error coins unveiled from this year, the doubling aligns with off-center striking and planchette mistakes to produce coins that are literally staggering in their uniqueness and collectible worth. Adding a layer of complexity, some 1982 pennies show strike-through errors, where foreign materials such as grease, lint, or debris on the die penetrated or interrupted the striking at key moments, leading to deformed parts of the coin's design or voided spots. These strike-through errors often add further rarity and unpredictability, making such coins sought after by niche collectors who prize varieties that deviate from typical coinage and show raw manufacturing singularities. To understand how such an error-filled penny from 1982 could come to exist, it's important to understand the minting and quality control processes in place at the United States Mint during that era. The coin production process encompasses many stages, from metal sourcing and planchette creation to die preparation, and finally the high-pressure striking process. In 1982, the Mint was undergoing significant procedural changes to enable the transition from copper to zinc-based cents, which required shifts in metal sourcing, planchette manufacturing, and die specifications, all of which introduced potential error points in the production chain. The changing metal supply likely led to mixing of planchets from different batches, or inadequate separation of copper and zinc planchets, raising the likelihood that an intended copper planchette might be struck with a die configuration suited for zinc pennies or vice versa. This metallurgical complexity created rare combinations with unexpected results on the coin's appearance and physical characteristics. The off-center strike mistakes could stem from the high-speed presses operating at the Denver or Philadelphia mints during periods of heavy production demand, combined with potential lapses in planchette feeding or die alignment caused by mechanical wear or operator oversight. Given the mint's emphasis on volume production over small batches, it's conceivable that these minor errors passed quality inspections at insufficient rates to guarantee flawless coins, thereby allowing off-center coins to enter into circulation or collector sets. The double die error similarly has its roots in die manufacturing. Dies are created by pressing a hub that contains the coin design multiple times to impart the design into the die steel. Errors in hubbing, such as slight angle shifts or multiple impressions, can manifest as doubling on struck coins. The rare double dies from 1982 are extremely prized because they combine modern minting precision with an artifact of human or mechanical imperfection, representing a fascinating snapshot of production evolution. The strike-through errors arise from physical contamination during pressing, foreign objects sitting between die and planchette, or lubricant irregularities lead to indentations or blank spots. Such errors reveal the inherent fragility and sensitivity of the minting process, a huge industrial operation reliant on immaculate mechanical coordination. What is most inspiring about the 1982 pennies' errors and mistakes isn't just their individual rarity but the compelling confluence of these anomalies on the same coins. For example, a coin featuring both an off-center strike and a double die anomaly, struck on an unusual planchette composition, is exponentially rarer than the sum of their parts, merging visual intrigue, functional material rarity, and mechanistic manufacturing storylines into a unique numismatic artifact. Such coins transcend conventional currency value and appeal universally to collectors, historians, and investors alike, turning a lowly penny into a vault treasure capable of commanding extraordinary sums in private sales or auctions. Now, in the free market, the value assigned to these coins depends on a range of factors beyond mere rare mistakes. Condition or grade plays a decisive role. Coins with well-preserved detail, those uncirculated or with minimal wear, demand vastly higher prices because the errors observed are pristine and uncompromised. Conversely, heavily worn coins, even if visibly extreme in errors, fetch lower sums due to diminished aesthetic appeal and incomplete design details. Provenance, or the documented history of the coin, is another critical component. Coins with clear pedigrees, documented ownership, auction appearance, third-party grading certifications, and professional authentication tend to command higher prices since buyers are assured of authenticity and can place more confidence in the coin's evaluated condition and error classification. Where the 1982 penny reaches toward multimillion-dollar valuations, and in this case, the astonishing $45 million, comes from a synergy of all these factors: extreme rarity of combined errors, exceptional coin condition, certified authenticity, and a growing market of collectors and alternative investors seeking rare tangible assets with both historical significance and financial growth potential. It's also important to understand that market psychology,